If you believe in what he believes in?
Yeah, but she doesn't. She's accepted money from all those people. She doesn't even want to.
He says, isn't that crazy to not support Hillary if you believe in what Bernie believes in?
What the hell does that even mean?
Why wouldn't you support another candidate who's the exact opposite of this guy who you like? Why would, if you believe in what he believes in, which is not getting money out of politics, why wouldn't you support somebody who champions money in politics? That's literally what he just said. What the fuck is going on in America today with journalists? Chris Hayes, I know you're the editor of The Nation and you have a TV show, but Jesus Christ, you're an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment to progressives. You should be embarrassed, but you're not embarrassed. He's bragging about, I bet he's bragging about this right now. Here we go.
Fight for a $15 minimum wage. So these are people that have not been.
Hillary won't support a $15 minimum wage. The same person who gets $250,000 for a 1 hour work, giving a speech to a bank. But she's against you getting $15 an hour for an hour. $15 for an hour work? No, too much. How about $250,000? Oh, that's right for me.
That have not come out before, so why would we think they're going to come out now for her? You know, that's.
You really think that?
I think.
So what she just said was, these people that Bernie is energizing to get involved in politics, they never came out before and voted. They weren't that interested in voting for corruption, for neoliberalism, for conservatism in Democrat clothing. They're not interested in corporatism anymore. They weren't voting before. Now they are voting. And she's like, they wouldn't come out before. Why would they come out now? These are all really good points that Chris Hayes is doing his best to dismiss, like an out-of-touch establishment corporate tool that he happens to be.
There's a good possibility. I talk to people who either want to write. I talk to Republicans who have written him in already, you know, and they just feel like she's not authentic, that she's a liar, that they don't trust her. So what difference does it make? You know, if you're a small farmer and you're worried about fracking on your property, in Idaho they just passed a bill where they can frack on private land,
yeah.
And you know that she's taken money from fracking. Why would you think that she's going to have your back?
Well, because they make the argument that there are all kinds of politicians. Barack Obama is the one that Hillary Clinton cites all the time, who have.
Now, here is Chris Hayes going to do the thing that blows my mind more than anything when journalists do. So journalists, instead of being outraged about the corrupting influence of corporate money in politics, instead of being outraged and trying to dig at it and muckrake and get rid of it so we can have a clean political process, instead of journalists doing that, they argue the other way. He's about to argue for money in politics, not money out of politics. He's not holding a corporation CEO's feet to the fire about money in politics. Here's an actress, an activist who wants to get money out of politics, and he's berating her over it. Well, here it comes.
Done things to effectively rein in industries or reform industries that they've taken money from.
I'd like to see that. No, I don't buy it at all, because she's been selling fracking all over the world. There's her talking about Monsanto and how clean, not talking about Roundup or what they put in it or what it's done to our economy. And they know that jobs are going out. You know, Bernie doesn't voted against NAFTA, you know, TPP or what, you know, all these things coming up that they know affect their jobs, and she's not on the right side of that. She hasn't voted right. So what would make you think that once she gets in, she's going to suddenly go against the people that have given her millions and millions of dollars? I think that's being incredibly naive and egotistical to think suddenly she's going to see the right, you know.
Right, but isn't the question always in an election about choices, right? I mean, I think a lot of people think to themselves, well, if it's Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton.
So his entire interview is trying to convince someone who's against corruption in politics to get on board with corruption in politics. And he calls himself a journalist. He really thinks he's doing journalism right now. Hey, come on, listen, grow up and sell out already, will you? Would you grow up and sell out? Don't you know we can't have real democracy in America? And you know who's telling you that? Me, Mr. Journalist, editor of The Nation, and have my own liberal television show. So I ought to know, because I work for a corporation, and I would never say anything that would risk my job. And that's why I'm coming at you pretty hard right now to support somebody who's completely bought by corporations. This is fucking mind-blowing.
And I think Bernie Sanders probably would think
I think Bernie would probably encourage people because he doesn't have any ego in this thing. But I think a lot of people are sorry. I just can't bring myself to do that.
How about you personally?
I don't know. I'm going to see what happens.
Really?
Really.
I cannot believe that as you're watching the rise,
well, you know,
Donald
some
Trump
people feel Donald Trump will bring the revolution.
So here's Chris Hayes going, I can't believe that you would support another candidate over another candidate. So if you question loudly enough why Susan Sarandon doesn't support Hillary Clinton, I guess you don't have to question yourself on why you do support Hillary Clinton. Him harassing Bernie Sanders voters with the accusations of a Trump presidency, because that's what they're saying, it shows their own nagging psychological doubts, because deep down, they know they're not supporting the better candidate. Chris Hayes knows he's not supporting the better candidate. He knows Hillary Clinton is what's wrong with politics. And guess what? He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit. There's more. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? The whole thing here is she gets slammed for this statement that she says, honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he like jumps out of his seat exasperated. You really? You don't know how you're going to vote? And you know, the fact of the matter is she's already decided that she's going to place her vote supporting Bernie Sanders, like many of us are. And he's exasperated by that and wants her to think beyond her vote. Who else would she vote for? And if it isn't for Hillary Clinton, are you going to vote for Donald Trump? And people are up in arms over Susan Sarandon's interview.
Yes.
And I think she fucking
nails
rocks
it. She's nailing it. Yeah. And so what's happening here is Chris Hayes, a Hillary supporter, is seriously demanding right now that right now, in the middle of a campaign, of a primary campaign, right now, you are supposed to support a presidential, you're supposed to pledge your allegiance to another candidate. Right now, in the middle of a campaign, Chris Hayes is like, why don't you pledge your support? That's the kind of shit that conservatives do. That's the kind of shit that they do. By the way, and none of them are supporting Trump. Now,
you know, I was reading a bunch of Hillary supporters on Facebook, social media, and before I saw this interview, and they were calling her petulant and privileged for this. And I thought, wow, what the hell did she say? That's all she said?
This is what she said.
That's all she said, that she's going to wait and see. She's going to vote for her candidate. She's going to wait for the primaries to take their course.
And she also proves her position time and time again with facts about Bernie Sanders.
Yes, again, she's coming back with facts and policies, and so all they come back with white privilege, which is not a fact and not policy.
Chris Hayes is petulant and privileged.
Chris Hayes is petulant and privileged. And so the current meme is that this is it's white privilege to not support a millionaires of white privilege. So if you don't support a millionaires who is the embodiment of white privilege, somehow you're being white privileged by supporting that guy who's worth $400,000 and never took a penny from corporations. Somehow you're being white privileged.
There are a lot of poor people living from week to week, month to month, you know, about to lose their house or maybe go into bankruptcy because, you know, a future medical bill, even with Obamacare.
Yes.
I don't think that's privilege.
That's not privilege. That's poor people worrying about, and she's in touch with the electorate.
Immediately, if he gets in, then things will really, you know.
Oh, you're saying the Leninist model of heighten the contradictions?
Yeah. Some people feel that.
Don't you think that's dangerous?
So he just wants. So this is his whole conversation with her. His whole conversation is, "You're crazy. Don't you think that's dangerous? What's the matter? Don't you think it's dangerous to keep supporting neoliberals, Chris? Don't you think it's dangerous to keep expanding the biggest income disparity since the fucking Gilded Age? Don't you think that's dangerous? Don't you think it was dangerous to invade Iraq that she was on board for? Don't you think it's dangerous to support torture and war crimes? Don't you think it's dangerous to have an XL pipeline going down the middle of our country? Don't you think it's dangerous to have fracking? Don't you think that's dangerous? No, but the only thing dangerous is if we get to actually decide who we like to vote for. Then you're being dangerous. Don't you think it's dangerous to keep your job at a company that won't let you speak out vociferously against the TPP deal? Don't you think that's dangerous? Don't you think it's dangerous to work for a company that if you say something wrong against the corporation that they'll fire your ass? You don't think that's dangerous?
He's basically asking if, don't you think democracy is dangerous?
Don't you think democracy is dangerous? Let me tell you something, Chris Hayes. A vote for Sanders helps change our corrupt political system. A vote for Sanders is a vote for people over money. And a vote for Sanders keeps Trump out of the fucking White House.